Well, welcome colleagues to this short webinar which summarises the Quality Improvement Group meeting of FE Sussex that took place earlier today, Tuesday the 9th of May. And on your screen you'll see the minutes of the meeting, and I'm just going to give a brief rundown of what actually happened. Turning our attentions to item 3, the OTLA, or Outstanding Teaching, Learning and Assessment Projects. We were talking about these. These are funded by the Education and Training Foundation, and they are available on a competitive tendering basis, so you can apply for money for various themes that you may want to run, various initiatives you're interested in researching and exploring. And in Sussex we've got 4 projects running, and you can see them, 5 projects running. We've got Chichester, Plumpton, GB Met running 2, and Worthing College as well. So just to give a quick rundown on those, Chichester's project centres on coaching feedback to improve the mindset of maths and English. Plumpton are looking at blended learning in and out of the classroom. And GB Met have 2 projects running. One centres on Google Apps and how they can be used to improve the educational experience of learners and make life easier for staff. The second is linking with a secondary school to create VLE resources for the delivery of English and maths in terms of GCSE and functional skills. And finally, Worthing, who are using Iris to build a directory of good practice, video clips, sound bites, micro lessons, etc., for the improvement of teaching techniques. Now, all of those 4 projects are funded by the Education and Training Foundation. Each project works to a mentor, which in this case happens to be me, Tim Strickland, and if you're in another part of the country, you work to a different mentor. So funding for the current round has ceased, and these are underway, and next year, or next term, one assumes there'll be another round. The next thing we turned our attention to is item 4 on the agenda, was endpoint assessment. Now, as a collective of colleges, we spent some time making inroads into finding out who is willing to become an endpoint assessment centre, who is willing to enter into reciprocal arrangements with other colleges over endpoint assessment, and who intends just to use awarding body arrangements. And this is some research work which is in its early stages. It's more to do. It's yet to be discussed higher up the chain, but it is something which we will return to in due course. Our attentions then turn to A-levels, and the difference now, we're on 2-year linear A-levels of limiting the attrition rate, or improving the retention on a 2-year programme. Some students, of course, still registered for AS, some registering for A2 and going straight through, and how are colleges dealing with this? Now, that's something which I've undertaken to proceed and find some more information out. But if you do have the answer to this, it would be very interesting to hear how you're dealing with it in your college. And colleges which weren't at the meeting that deliver A-levels, Chichester for example, or Sussex Downs, or Sussex Coast for that matter, will be interested to hear as well. We then turned our attention to functional skills and talked about the awarding bodies. There's various reports coming through of the differences in pass rates according to which awarding body you undertake, you put your functional skills with. So for instance, as I've jotted down in the minutes there, some people reported that AQA exams students found more acceptable rather than perhaps City and Guilds, where the questions were overcomplicated and therefore the students had difficulty in extracting the information that was actually required to undertake the maths or undertake the English. Now, we did have a representative of City and Guilds at the meeting, Thomas Stoner. He took this on board and also informed us that City and Guilds were in the middle of making changes to exams, and the comprehension requirements for questions in the future should be more student friendly than they are at the moment. In terms of British values, this is an old chestnut. How do you deliver British values in your college? There was a good discussion on this actually, and various points came out. So there's one college saying, well, we don't use the term British values. We find that learners accept things more easily if we refer to them as college values or community values. Some colleges do 1 hour tutorial a week on British values, and other link them to the values of the organisation with reinforcement by imprints on student cards and on other official documentation. In terms of quality monitoring, learning walks taking place with a theme of British values, so looking for it in the classroom on a particular day. And then the sharing of good practice within and across a college is a valuable way of delivering them as well. There's also, finally, some colleges ask for British values to be identified and incorporated into the scheme of work alongside equality and diversity. So all of those techniques are one way of, or some ways of delivering British values. Under item 8, we went on and looked at the delivery of maths and English, and this was very interesting, particularly as we've got a session coming up at FE Sussex in Hampshire on this. We did a lot of work last year on it and have continued to do work this year. The essence of the successful maths and English comes right from the top. So you'll see the bullet points here which list this out. So cross-college theme and an obligation on all teachers to be involved in English and maths in a positive way. And the throwaway remark, oh, well, I was never any good at maths, that's absolute no-no, can't happen. Then the performance of English and maths is incorporated into student progress reviews, so it's sold as the study programme and reviewed as a study programme. And there's no argument that from day one this reinforcement goes ahead. And then the teachers themselves receive support. So if I, as a vocational subject teacher, need to drop a bit of maths into my subject area, I don't feel necessarily confident at doing it, then I can call for support within the college. The timetabling of English and maths is absolutely crucial. You know, I know it sounds so easy and silly to say it, but not the Friday afternoon and not the Monday morning. And so it's carefully sandwiched between vocational sessions or workshop sessions. Now, some colleges lay down the English and maths as preset slots and everything else is timetabled around it. Other colleges don't do that, but certainly that is one way of successfully sorting the slots of delivery. So English and maths delivered in the middle of the day rather than at either end of it. Right, we used to have a phrase, didn't we? Right student, right course. High levels of diagnostic testing to ensure appropriate stretch and attainment. And don't forget that under Ofsted they will be looking at how do you extend grade C holders equally alongside, you know, what are you doing for people who come in with the D, and you've got to get them up to the appropriate level. And the final thing which successful colleges were doing is a rigorous attendance and associated alert policy, so that students are contacted in real time if they don't appear for the maths or the English lessons. Now there'll be more on how to deliver English and maths and improve your results in the next quality meeting, which will be at the end of the academic year, July the 5th. We went on from there, interestingly enough, and looked at extracts of Ofsted reports. I'll just pop those on the screen now. These are areas of text which have been lifted from Ofsted reports between January and April of 2017. And along with this webinar, this supporting document and the others, which you'll see in a minute, City and Guilds presentation, will be available via the FE Sussex website. So you might want to have a look at these. There are certain themes which run through these. The non-development of English language mathematical skills is one. You know, students are not stretched. Teachers don't give the appropriate guidance to improve written English. So we've got, I'm looking at paragraph 2 now, learners not improving their English and maths skills well enough. They don't get given the opportunities to develop their English and maths, and they don't get sufficient guidance from teachers. Paragraph 3 is an interesting one because here it comes again. Senior leaders have taken direct responsibility for managing English and maths, and as a result there's been an improvement, specific target setting, and you can see that things have come on enormously in that particular inspection report. And so it goes on, listing various extracts of reports which show both the good and the bad. But I did finish it off with a comment which is rather sobering. You know, the very last paragraph. However, the majority of GCSE maths in this college lessons lacked pace, and teachers do not set tasks that enable students to progress quickly enough or improve the specific skills they've yet to master. And I reckon you could turn out the 10-year-old inspection report and find that very same comment listed. Probably the English language would be slightly different, but it would be saying the same thing. So I would just say that it's worth looking at these comments, save you a lot of work going through the inspection report, and hopefully that will be of interest. So go back to the agenda. We next looked at the sharing of good practice event, which is coming up on July the 5th, and I alluded to a few minutes ago. Actually, that's going to have a number of items on it, including Ofsted HMI coming along to present. There's a session on English and Maths improvement. There's a session on digital badging, and we'll also be looking at the new 15 technical pathways. So the date is the morning of the 5th of July 2017. It will be here in Plumpton College where we're recording this webinar, and hopefully you'll be able to attend, and you will have you'll gain from it. Towards the latter end of the meeting, Thomas Stoner presented gave a City and Guilds presentation. It's on your screen now. It was an update on the technical qualifications and functional skills, and there are a couple of interesting points. This also is available on the FE Sussex website. The first is on this slide that UCAS points are now going to be awarded for these qualifications, so they will count towards that. And then there's information about the assessment approach for technicals, how it's changed, there's qualification structure, and the requirement for meaningful work experience. The same for functional skills. This is City and Guilds saying, well, actually, you know, we surveyed you for what you thought. Here is how we've responded to how you thought and how we've improved the offering. Now, I won't run through it in detail, but as I say, it is there for you if you need it on the website. So I think that sums up the meeting which went on today, the 9th of May. And if you couldn't make it, okay, hopefully we will see you at the Quality Improvement morning on the 5th of July. Thanks very much.